Hi everyone, it's Roger here from What's on DisneyPlus.com with the weekly Q&A. So if you're in the live chat, feel free to let me know and you can hear me. So this is our weekly Q&A session. So how this works is patrons and YouTube channel members have been able to put in their questions in advance, and also we go through and answer that. And also, if you are in the live chat as well, you can also join in with the questions. And if you aren't a member, you can do so and join. And also, you can use the Superchat functionality to send in questions as well. All of this all helps support the channel. It all helps keep all the lights on, keep everything moving along, and your support really does mean a lot. So you can see we've got a few people here in the live chat that are all saying they can hear me. We've got Joshua, My VCR Still Works, and Caleb. Thank you very much for all joining me. Okay, so I'm going to jump into some of the questions. A couple of quick things before we move on to that one. I don't know if anyone saw the Destination D23 event earlier today. They did a live stream called the Disney Plus Download. And yeah, it had a trailer for Foodtastic. But other than that, that was about it. There wasn't really a huge amount. Wasn't expecting much. So the trailer was nice. They did do a little interview thing with Kermit the Frog, and they had the guy that writes the Diary of a Wimpy Kid on as well, talking about the movie. So there was a few things, but then it just abruptly ended after Kermit, and I was sat there for 20 minutes expecting it to come back, and it never did. So that was today's Destination D23 event. So let's jump first off into the questions. Okay, so up first, we have got Frank, who says, I think the search across the bundle feature is better having Star in the US, because hear me out, Americans, would you rather have licensed content? So what this is with regards to is Disney put up on their Disney streaming, they did a hackathon recently, and they got all their staff, and they could all join in and just do little things for Disney Plus. And one of the things that actually came up, and I'm going to bring it up on the screen so we can see it. And so what their idea was to see if they could come up with any functionality that would be good for Disney Plus. And one of the ones that got brought up was the idea of basically they managed to work out a way of incorporating Hulu and ESPN Plus inside of the Disney Plus app. So, for example, if you type for Michael Jordan, it will actually show you what he was in from Hulu and ESPN, which I think is a pretty good idea of them doing it. And I think that's definitely I'm not really so keen on that. I don't see the reason for you to be jumping apps, and I am becoming probably more and more against this whole thing of the different streaming services. And to be honest, I want you guys in the US and Latin America to have the same stuff that the rest of us do, because it's such a better app and it's such a better experience. Then I don't see why you guys should have to be getting a lesser experience in those countries just because that they've planned a different system. So I don't really like this idea. This just seems to me like a workaround. Yeah, it does get it, but it's just going to make it look like Disney Plus has got a lot more with it when you check on all the Hulu stuff. And if you can end up seeing things like American Horror Story within the app, then what's the point? I mean, I just don't see the reason. They had other things as well in their plan as well, like a new coming soon section and some other things. But hopefully as well, that'd be something that they can do. But yeah, so for me, I don't think that's a good idea. I think that there seems to be this weird thing going on right now with Disney Plus, now that the sort of Wall Street and the investors are starting to go, look, Disney Plus isn't growing. Why is it not growing? And they're going, well, you haven't really got anything but Star Wars and Marvel for adults. Well, we need to put some more stuff in there. And there's this real split in the US of not having it because they want it to be safe for kids and keep it family friendly and keep it with the Disney thing. Then you get other people then go in, we should have it within, all in one app. And there's this weird toing and froing going on. Kaylee just put up a note here, said about me and Luke from Cord Cutting News having a discussion, and he wasn't so fond of the idea because as far as he's concerned, America works a little bit differently to the rest of the world, and they like to keep Disney in the lone little Disney bundle, and Hulu's been around for 10 years, and they shouldn't have to change anything. And for me, I was a bit it doesn't make any sense for Disney to have all these different streaming services. And yeah, I really don't like it. I feel now that now the rest of us have got access to Star, we can see how good Disney Plus can be. And you guys aren't getting, like this afternoon, me and my wife, we watched a new Terminator movie, which 20th Century Studios released here in the UK. Why not? You just get such a better experience. And, why have two apps when you can have one? So I definitely feel to me, that's not a good way of working around it. That's just a way of working around it to how it is right now. But I definitely feel 6 months into having Disney Plus with Star, you guys are missing out on that, on having a fantastic service because of so yeah, it's going to be a bit of a thing. Oh, my VCR still works here. Are you going to do another video with Josh about Disney Legacy content? Do you know what? We did actually have we were only messaging each other a couple of days ago. We are going to do another get together before Christmas, so we will do. So there will be another video coming up with me and Josh talking about legacy content and stuff. So yes, there is one of them planned. Okay, let's have a look here, see what we've got. Joshua said, with the resurgence of COVID in Europe and the return of restrictions, do you see Disney and studios returning to a hybrid schedule? So this is what the title of today's video was could we see the return of Disney Plus Premier Access? I'm going to say no. While we are currently in Europe going through some issues, I know like Austria are currently going through another lockdown. I think the Netherlands are going into it. There's been some riots in, I think, Belgium today. Germany is having some issues. Yeah, COVID is not over. And unfortunately, there's a certain amount of people that think it is. I'll be honest, I was sat in the cinema this week and I really enjoyed it. But I think we can definitely see that the box office being open generally brings in much more money than Premier Access. There's a lot less piracy. I think that might just encourage them to do the 45-day window. I also think it's very obvious that really Disney has shifted most of their movies outside of this winter. Because we've got Encanto coming up next week, and then we're going to have West Side Story. I think we got The Kingsman, and then we got next year we got that Death on the Nile movie, and they've moved everything because after Encanto, really, other than 20th Century and Searchlight stuff, there isn't another Disney release until March. So they've really kind of moved everything out the way. And for me, I definitely feel like Disney have shifted stuff. I don't think Premier Access is going to return because I don't think it worked. I think it worked on some levels. I'll be honest, I probably would have been more inclined to do it. But then again, I looked at it like today. We were looking on Sky and we saw that the new James Bond movie was on there. It was like $16.99 to rent it. I'm like, no, I'm not paying that much. Had it been Eternals, I might have done, but I'm not. I think it is just too expensive. I mean, it's very interesting right now that the box office numbers are still vastly down on where they were like from 2019. But I think there's still that prestige about it being in cinemas. I just think the short windows is probably the way to go so that they can do stuff. So here we go. Right, so we're going to do a few more of these questions in advance before we jump into these ones here. Okay. So Tracy said, are we in the UK going to get more than one episode per week of Miraculous? We are so far behind the rest of the world. I think they've already now got their schedule in place, and they're just going to keep going. We seem to be getting one new episode a week. Yeah, I don't think we'll be getting any more of them. I think that's the way they've gone with it. Joshua then said, what do you think the new Scarlett Johansson and Kevin Feige Marvel project is? I wouldn't be surprised if it was an animated series. I don't know, can they bring her back? I mean, she might be just becoming a producer on something else. It might have been a way of sweetening the deal to kind of sort out the problem that they had. Yeah, so that might be an issue. So Frank also asked, why did Disney Plus US not add any 911 or drug documentaries from National Geographic? Theories, he thinks it's probably too sensitive for families, and I think drug documentaries are understandable since Disney prohibits smoking in the movies. I think you're probably spot on. They feel it's too sensitive for families. There's still this real mix of stuff with the US. With like being too sensitive for stuff. And I do think, I mean, there was some great 911 documentaries that National Geographic brought out. I think until Disney can work out what they're doing with how that works. Same thing with the drug documentaries. Actually, some of them didn't even turn up in the UK recently. They kind of disappeared. And Frank's other question is how does Disney make money with movies that went to Disney Plus, such as Soul and Luca? So the whole idea with them is they make their money because it encourages more people to sign up and to stay signed up, because if they get your $8 or whatever it is a month, They get that continuously, so they have to keep putting content on there to get it. Because you got to look at it this way: of you're paying, say, $80 a month in the US, or £90, whatever it is you're paying. If you keep subscribed, you're paying that month, all year round. That's equivalent of you going to the cinema. Maybe, in my case, they're £5 a ticket. So I would need to go see probably close to, say, 8, well, probably more than that. Probably need to go to about 15 movies to actually get their money. So for me, it actually works out cheaper that way. So I definitely feel like that's how they make the money through people signing up. That's why I think this whole thing of releasing movies for 30 to 45 days, they can claw back 400,000 or 300, 400 million, get some money in, pay off the costs of it, and then they can shift it over. Because I view now streaming Disney Plus is just like being a DVD. That's what it is. It's literally home video, and people are much more likely to watch it at home. Right. Okay. So now we've done those are the YouTube ones. We've got some Patreon ones as well. But before we do that, let's jump into now with some of the live questions. So here we go. So Kelly says, I'm sure Disney will find a way to keep both legacies alive, possibly with a combined app can be function like Hotstar in India, where Hulu can function as normal. I think eventually they are going to, Star might be called Hulu. They might do it that way. That might be their way of getting around it. And then eventually they might just, maybe when Disney gets the whole thing, they just rebrand Star to Hulu. But yeah, that could be the way I think that they're going to do it. I think eventually they're going to merge it over. Frank says I think the search will be work with a similar one to HBO Max on Hulu add-on. Yeah, I think it makes sense within Hulu because of the way that they do it in terms of like you got access to things within it. But don't know. It depends on what happens with Hulu, because some of these other companies might not want to start having their apps inside it. They might not want to be paying Disney to have, do you subscribe through HBO Max? They might not like it. Joe says, what do you think of the surprise drop in the UK of Fancy Nancy season 3 with all 30? Could we see this happening more with Disney Channel and Disney? I think we are going to see more of this. I think they've become aware in the last couple of months. It feels like the Disney Channel has gone through a bit of a shift to the idea that they need to put more stuff quicker onto Disney Plus. I don't know if it's because of the management change at the top, or there's just more people watching it on Disney Plus than the Disney Channel, but we are really seeing a shift over. It's not complete yet. There's still a lot messy, but I'm really hoping we see more stuff like that coming in. Frank says, why is Fancy Nancy called Fancy Nancy Clancy in the UK? Probably because Fancy Nancy is probably already a trademark, I imagine, because that's a word that's been around for, Fancy Nancy's been something. I've known that as a name for years, just Cockney rhyme kind of thing. Steven says, Star Trek Discovery Season 4, Netflix lost the rights, not going to wait for Paramount Plus. That's the problem. That's what they did. They've pulled it all off of Netflix, but not everywhere's got Paramount Plus yet. It's what happened with The Mandalorian, because that's how that all kicked off, with people not being able to watch it. Joshua said, no one dies in the Marvel comics. That is 100% true. And also, I thought it's quite interesting as well. There was, I think one of the Marvel executives was talking about Black Panther, and he was very much along the lines of, well, we're not going to recast Marvel the 616 universe or whatever universe they're in. And I thought, oh, that way they could bring in a multiverse version, and they could maybe do the same with Scarlett Johansson, bring her in from a different universe. My VCR still works. Says, what are your thoughts on Bob Chapek not going to the D23 destination event because he doesn't want to get booed? On one hand, I feel like that's probably it was probably a good thing for him, because it would overshadow the event. It meant then that Josh was doing the presentation, which probably makes more sense for him to do it than Bob anyway. But Bob would be very much booed when he went there, and it would have just been distracted, and it would have caused a lot of negative things. It was probably a lose-lose situation. So he's been called out on not going to it. I know there's been a very open discussion with WDWNT, calling him out, and then them kind of calling it. There's been a whole load of mess with it. And I could see why he wouldn't turn up. It's a lose-lose situation for him. Literally is a lose-lose situation. Joseph, what do you think of Peacock's release in the UK? I personally don't like it. The addition to Sky, I would have preferred it as it's horrible. absolutely horrible. What they've done is they put like Paramount into our Skybox, but it's like really weird in there. There's hardly anything in there. I think there's only like 80, 90 shows and movies and stuff. It's kind of built into it, but rather than like rebrand their on-demand section to Peacock and put everything in there, it's an absolute mess. I mean, I don't know. I mean, why they didn't just rebrand Now TV Peacock and just, I don't know. It's such a weird way of doing it. It really is an awful way of doing it. Frank says Dragon Ball Super Broly is on Disney Plus Hong Kong, but it's only available in the Japanese audio with English subtitles. That's probably what. Yeah, it could be, or they haven't got the rights to it. They might not have the rights to put it on there, but yeah, there's probably is some of those issues there. I'm starting to go down with coats. I'm needing a drink a little bit more. Stephen said, any more IMAX films coming to Disney Plus? I suspect so. I expect it'll probably become the norm. Probably more on the newer movies. Also, big hello to Baba Trolling for becoming a new member. Thank you for rejoining. Ricardo said recently it was announced that NBC Universal and Viacom CBS will promote their relative sales for the representative cable networks in Latin America. Could it be another sign they could merge? I don't necessarily know it's a merger. I don't know if they could get away with it or not. They might not be allowed to. But I think they're just looking at now of bringing in the combination to try and combat Netflix and all the rest. I think they're just trying to cut costs, and so joining up together probably is how they're thinking of doing it. Josh is a Dragon Ball Z. I think is the most part outside of Japan seems to be split between Sony, Funimation, CR, and Toy Animation. So yeah, probably a licensing issue there. Josh said it's possible that NBC and Viacom could merge eventually, but it will take a colossal effort as issues on both sides of the Atlantic. The only thing is now is I think this whole thing of them coming together becomes a little bit harder. I mean, here in the UK, you would have that issue then of Channel 5 and Sky becoming, would it be too powerful? But then you can go, well, you've got all these other channels, you've got all these other streaming services. There's a lot of competition there. The one and only Tinkerbell, as there was a trailer for Pam and Tommy on Hulu next week. Do you know if it will come to Star here in Europe? And if so, when? I do know it's coming. We did have it confirmed that it is coming. So it will be a Star original. I suspect it'll be around the same time. They don't tend to announce any information too much. Joe asked, the list for December in the Disney Plus is amazing. I'm glad Sunny with a Chance and Dog with a Blog is finally coming. I hope this means they add more missing shows in 2020. Hope so too. I don't understand why they were never there in the first place. It didn't make any sense why. Hopefully, they can fix this issue and get this sorted. Stephen says it was a light lunch at Peacock. It was a very light lunch. Steve said, any special plan for YouTube over Christmas? It's funny, yeah, me and James, because of Christmas and New Year's Day falling on the Saturday when we normally record, we're going to record it probably a few days early because of the Hawkeye finale 1 week, and then the Star Wars Boba Fett. So what we might do shorter episodes because of Christmas, but we are going to carry on recording over Christmas. Live chat, the live one might not go on as normal over the 2 weeks of Christmas. I haven't fully worked out the schedule just yet. I have got a plan to do, I'll probably do a Christmas live stream for everyone. We'll probably do something like that nearer the time, do something like that. But I'm also going to probably try and have a few days off a little bit. I'm not expecting a huge amount of news. So if there's no news, I might have a few days off. But I am planning on doing a live stream at some point over the Christmas for everyone. Like I said, it's going to be a little bit funny. It just depends on how things work in terms of things, but there will be a little bit of stuff. Literally as well. Plan is next weekend is to get all of this lot done up for the Christmas and all the rest of it. My VCR still works as I love the adventures through the Walt Disney archives. Disney need more of this stuff. Hope they bring back. I'm going to be honest, I thought Prop Culture was a much better show. I did watch this one yesterday morning. It was a little bit cheesy. I mean, I did some of the gags and stuff was like really, but we definitely need to see more of this stuff. I really do. Would love to see more of that. Frank says, I think the Disney bundle search would beat out Netflix and contents. It would do, but then you're lying. It's lying, isn't it? I think there's a lying between here's all the content in Disney Plus, but it's actually on two completely other different services. I don't really think. I think it's a bit misleading. Ricardo says, what if for a possible merger to happen, Comcast got rid of the NBC TV station, kept the NBC name for production? I think you're into I don't think I'd get into it. I don't think that would work. Joe says, I can't wait to see the House of Gucci in cinema this weekend. I just saw a trailer for that. I'll be honest, it didn't really appeal for me. I've got no interest in Gucci. Is it about handbags? And I'm not just quite sure on Lady Gaga acting. Steven said, have you got your YouTube play button? No, because you have to hit 100,000 subscribers. We're literally coming up to 60,000, probably, hopefully be by the end of the year if we're lucky. So we're still about 40,000 people away. So if you know anyone that can subscribe, that would be great. I would love to get there eventually. That would be cool. Josh said, I imagine prop culture was a different one to produce during COVID. I'm sure with COVID, that was the major reason for that to happen, was that they couldn't get people to meet up, couldn't get people to mix up and stuff like that. Right. Okay. So let's now jump over to. So keep your questions coming in live. Feel free to use the super chat function as well. So let's jump into some of these questions that have come in advance. Elliot says, do you prefer shows to drop weekly or all at once? Does it depend on the type of show? I like them to drop weekly. I'll be honest, I do like that. I don't mind, like, with the premieres with like 2 episodes at once. I don't mind that as an idea, but I actually don't like them all dropping at once. I don't think it's good. I find as well it can get a bit, if you're trying to plod through too many episodes, it can get a little bit sort of boring with too many of them. So I would definitely prefer the weekly, but I don't mind like a double episode premiere to kind of get you into the series. Well, thank you very much for the super chat, Jim. Thank you very much for your question. Thank you very much for your support. Disney needs to buy the Indiana Jones distribution rights to films 1 and 4. 100% agree on you on that one. It would be a massive boost for Disney Plus. I hope they can do it. I really hope they can do that one. That would be pretty cool. So definitely agree with you on that one there. Elliot said, is there a show on Disney Plus you'd like to come back as a reboot? Let's probably reboot everything. I mean, I'd like to see the Chip and Dale maybe, or Darkwing Duck. I'm going to go with Darkwing Duck. They've been a lot of talk about it. I love them to maybe bring that one back. But yeah, I'm kind of over reboots. Just give us something new. Give us something fresh and new. That would be much nicer than having all over the place. Josh said, I think they have the distribution rights for the 4th one. I don't think that's the 4th one. That was still Paramount. I know they will have the distribution rights for number 5. So that one will be coming in. Connor did say that the House of Mouse, but with newer Disney characters. A lot of people really like that House of Mouse. I've never even seen one episode. So here we go. So Kayla said, what are your thoughts on Hotstar in the US shutting down earlier than expected? Do you see them following suit in Canada and the UK where all the Hotstar content could move to the Star section? I thought it was very surprising with the US move, because they were saying like next year they were going to do it. But my only thing with that is have they done that because the numbers are so small now on Hotstar that they're like, no, we can just, what if 50, 60, 70, 80% of people have moved over and now they're like going, it's not cost effective to keep it running. So I was surprised with the announcement, but I'm actually also, I think that's probably for the best. I think it's better just to get rid of it and sort it all out. I would imagine in Canada and the UK it is going to happen at some point. There might be a little bit of an issue in terms of the sports, so they've got to maybe license out to somebody else. I would prefer it to happen sooner rather than later. That would be quite a cool little function to bring in. Colin said, do you think Disney Plus will offer a Star Day to celebrate its first anniversary? Maybe some surprise originals or bumper drops that day? I don't think they will. I don't think. I think the trouble is with Star is they're so higgledy-piggledy of when we're getting stuff, who's not getting it, what country is, what country isn't. It's a Hulu original, it's a Star original, it's a Star Plus original, it's a Hotstar. Yeah, I think it's just too complicated. I'd like that to be. It would be nice for them to do it, but I would just like a little bit more continuity in terms of what they're doing right now. Those are just normal announcements, let alone a special day. But no, I don't think they'll do one. Connor said, what are your thoughts on the UK Disney Plus release schedule? I know I'm going to binge Malcolm in the Middle and I might try Devs. I've never watched Devs. I do need to watch them. For me, the Last Duel, which is going to be coming on, I think, is it on the 1st of December. That's one I really want to watch. Got Ron's Gone Wrong, which is another one that I'm looking forward to watching. The Wonder Years, that should be a great series that I'm looking forward to watching. I'm trying to think what else there was. There was a few movies and stuff, but those were the main ones that came out from the top of my list. And the final question on the Patreons was from Aero, and he said, with Bob Chapek saying that it will take until next summer for the content dropping to become the scale that they intended, what could you see them doing to improve the time in between? Wondering if they might go on a small acquisition drive to get some already complete content, especially after Disney Plus Day got a lukewarm reception. My gut would be that they're going to they might raid the library a little bit more. Maybe even nick a few things from ABC to kind of help fill the void in. So I definitely feel like that would be a way of them filling in. I'm hoping by next year we get into the full swing. I mean, this week was horrendous. I mean, literally, a couple episodes of a National Geographic stuff and some Minnie Mouse cartoons is not a good week for the US. That was pretty bad. Right, okay, that's pretty cool. So that means we've got all of the pre-done ones in advance. So now let's jump into some of the membership ones. So Baba said, well, the Disney Plus bundle will be the base price. So you got the base price with Hulu with ads, and then you got another price without the ads, and then you got this new live function of all. So I'm not quite sure what your question is there. Steven says, have you seen Ghostbusters? I have seen Ghostbusters, the movie 1 and 2. I've not seen the new after life. I'll probably wait till it arrives on streaming. So I like going to cinemas, but I've got really out of the habit, and I don't know. I'll probably just wait. It looks okay, but it's not one I'd probably go down and watch. My VCR still works. Says Disney should hire top dollar since the WWE fired them to do Disney's Most Wanted Treasures. Man, they didn't. They were running on like SmackDown for like 2 weeks. I didn't even barely even see them before. I mean, they've gone on an absolute just cut so many members of the roster. Joe says, I wonder if we'll get more Alien movies and Predator movies coming to Disney Plus UK and Ireland. I hope they'll come soon. I would like them to. I like them to kind of complete them on there, especially with Prey coming up and the new Alien series. Stuart says, would you like another season in the Imagineering story? 100%. I love that series. I thought that was such a great series. I really enjoyed that one. Joshua said, how about the continuation of Gargoyles? That would be interesting. I have never watched Gargoyles. I think I might have watched it once or twice as a kid. I know there's a lot of love for it, but I think that was a little bit later in the afternoons. I'd kind of moved out of that by that time and started watching Spider-Man. And when was Gargoyles out? That's the Disney Gargoyles. I'm wondering if I'd skipped over them to like Batman. So it was 94 to 96. So yeah. So I would have started watching X-Men, Spider-Man, Batman at that time, that period when it came out. So I probably stopped watching the Disney ones instead, not knowing at the time, obviously 20 years in the future, Disney would own X-Men. Frank said, I think if Disney Plus was to have Indiana Jones, it would be like the Sony situation where they would do a deal. And Paramount, I think they would quite easily share it. I could see that. Kaylee said it'd be nice if Agent Carter got revealed to resolve. Yeah, definitely. I hate it when they leave things on loose ends. I never finished the second season, to be honest. I kind of dropped off of that one. Joe said, I hope Hit Monkey is coming soon to Disney Plus. Was really looking forward to seeing it. Wonder why it didn't come. Maybe something to do with dubbing. Yeah, that was a really bad drop by Disney. I mean, they had announced the series was coming internationally. Didn't drop. There's a little bit of I'd asked for clarification of whether or not it was going to be a all-at-one drop like Hulu, or if we were going to get it weekly. And then it didn't turn up, but it didn't just turn up. It didn't turn up anywhere other than on Hulu. And also the social media posts were getting removed. So they definitely went back and kind of cleaned up a little bit afterwards. Hopefully we'll get more news on when that's coming. I think the whole thing with dubbing and stuff, I do find it a little bit frustrating. of, well, if they had it, if they, I mean, I think they saw it on the rescue. They put on there that it was coming to English speaking countries for. I know it's not right, but to me, it's along the lines of, well, if you've got it in, obviously it's in English because it's in America, then maybe Canada's a little bit tricky because of they need it in French. But like Australia, New Zealand, and the UK and Ireland should get it at the same time, because I don't see why, we wouldn't get it. But I know they have to get everything on there, but they definitely need to sort that out. Stephen said, should FX come to Disney Plus for FX shows and Star for Star Plus? Should FX channel in Disney Plus? I don't know what they're doing with the FX shows. I think it makes sense for the way they're doing it. It depends on what they're doing with the branding. I really don't like the branding of FX, so I don't have that connection with it. Frank said, in the Simpsons Plus anniversary short, I like how Lisa is honest that Disney Plus mostly has kids content. I really love the fact as well she had the app with everything all in one. That was cool. I wonder what New Year's film will be. I probably think it might be Eternals. I think Eternals might drop them. Kayla said, speaking of Hotstar Sports, I can see them licensing out to TSN in Canada. That to me seems to be the best way of doing it, would be to get the sport off the network, so they don't lose any money for it, and make some money back the other way. I think that would make a lot more sense. The 1 Years is not on there because it's distributed by Viacom. I haven't checked, but that could be a very good reason. Stuart said, I personally prefer the Imagineering story. It was better than Behind the Attraction. I totally agree. Behind the Attraction was a little bit like skewed the way it was presented. I preferred the Imagineering story. It was much more like and it gave some bad things. Some of the things with like Hong Kong and Shanghai and Paris. They didn't gloss over all the stuff. Behind the Attraction was fun, but Imagineering story was like a 10 out of 10. And then Behind the Attraction, maybe a 6 or 7. Malcolm in the Middle is on Disney Plus in Latin America. Good. What's really annoying with that one is they actually announced Malcolm in the Middle back for the US back in like April 2019, and it still hasn't arrived. Ricardo said, when will the world premiere in Los Angeles for Spider-Man No Way Home? I think it's that week that it comes out. I haven't really 100% checked. Hopefully they don't do like they do with Eternals and Venom, where everyone got to see it like 2 weeks earlier and ruined everything. James Bond, 10th of December for DVD to rent. Yeah, it'll be probably. It's a little bit pricey at the minute. I'm going to wait until it drops down a little bit more. I'm not paying 16 quid to rent it. What's going on with the Night in the Museum series? I haven't heard anything. I think it's coming out next year. Frank said, I do agree with Frank. I could see Disney and Paramount sharing streaming rights for Indiana Jones. I could also see them sharing the right. I think they already used to share the rights for Phase 1. But if Disney are willing to pay Paramount for it, and it would make a lot of sense to do that before the new movie comes out. But they got another year to wait now. It's moving on there. Barbara says the baseball. That's due to Hulu. I still don't quite fully understand the question. Sorry. Frank said, I would rather wait for Spider-Man Home to come to stars here. Well, that's what you're going to have to do anyway, because that will be where it's coming to. I'm going to go see Spider-Man the second I can. I mean, I love Spider-Man movies. I'm in on. I'll go to the first showing at my local cinema for that one. Superman and Lois has been picked up by BBC One. Took 3 years to get. Have they got it? I thought it would be on Sky One, but I've kind of dropped out of DC. I've just kind of lost interest in all of it. Surprisingly, 2 Latin shows made for Star Plus, I'm not even going to pronounce them, were added to Hulu as Hulu originals. I hope they add more. Well, I hadn't heard from them. I think you're going to see more of this. I think you're going to see a lot more of this sharing the content. And it makes total sense. Why not? I mean, just, they don't have to spend any money on advertising, just pop it up. More likely to get more behind the attraction as The Rock is behind that one. Very much so. Do you know when we're going to be getting Big Sky Season 2 on Star? No, I wish I knew the one and only Tinkerbell, because me and my wife love that show, and I'm really looking forward to it. My only thing is I'm wondering if they're waiting until it's finished on ABC, and then they want to put it over and we get it all in one go. I don't know. I don't know why we didn't get it at the same time, because I really enjoyed that series. Joe said, I can't wait for Paramount Plus to come to the UK and Ireland next. I hope it's just not as bad as the Peacock launch. They're kind of incorporating it all into Sky, aren't they? So it's probably going to be a little bit messy. Right, okay, so that means we've come to the end of these questions. So if you've got any more, pop them in quickly. I am going to end this one a little bit earlier. My mouth is, I know I'm going down with a bit of a cold, and my mouth is dry. Kelly said, I spoke to Hulu customer service rep on Friday in order to resolve some issues regarding the Disney bundle. She mentioned that Hotstar content will come to Disney Plus later down the road. I think we all know it's going to be coming. I think we can all sense the mood. I do think with with like Hotstar content coming to Disney Plus, I think we're all going to see it happening eventually. Joshua said, hopefully by the time Paramount Plus launches, they will have calmed down after the fiasco that they did with Discovery. Yeah, well, I have got like a year of Discovery Plus. I think I've used it like twice. Right, on that note, guys, again, thank you very much for all of your support, for your questions and stuff. We'll do another one next week at the same time, the same channel. And yeah, just thank you very much. Like I said, I was questioning whether or not I was actually going to get to do this one today, but I think I did all right. On that note, guys, thank you very much for all of your support, and I shall see you guys soon. Laters. Let's find the button to get out. Yay. Where is it? Thank you very much for watching. Laters. I'd like to thank all of our Patreon and YouTube channel members for their support. You can become a member from as little as $2 a month and you get access to our weekly Q&A and much more.